Views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
And hello and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Darren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our community as well as around the world. Well, coming up on today's show, we'll bring you the latest headlines in local, national, and international news. Plus, a recent study done right here in the Bronx shows the link between maternal depression and childhood obesity. Plus, we'll also take a closer look at how the study will provide much-needed mental help for families. And our borough president, Ruben Diaz Jr., has called on the Major League Soccer to bring pro soccer to the Bronx, and we'll find all about the benefits that this would bring to our borough. Plus, we'll sit down with an organization that is using education and entertainment to make our men healthy. And we'll get a preview of a book that's examining the socio-political impact of Black religious culture and re-imaging preaching for the 21st century. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now we're officially open. Hello everyone, I'm your host Darren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, July 17, 2013. Of course, you're watching Open, the only live and interactive program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. We want you to be encouraged to stay connected to us. Of course, you can find us out there on Twitter and BronxNet TV, on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. So please stay connected with us on our social media sites. We, of course, love being connected to all of you. Well, leading things off with national news, the Reverend Al Sharpton announced on Tuesday that he will lead a National Justice for Trayvon Day in 100 cities that will occur at noon in front of federal court buildings. Though these rallies and vigils, or I should say through the rallies and vigils, the Reverend Sharpton hopes to show that this is a movement for social justice and not simply a short fit of anger. The decision came after a 6-member jury acquitted George Zimmerman of second-degree murder and manslaughter charges in the shooting of unarmed teenager Trayvon Martin. Moving now to the international front, National Security Agency leaker Edward Snowden submitted a request for temporary asylum in Russia. Now, if the request is granted, Snowden would be able to live in Russia and travel abroad for at least a year. The latest steps made by Snowden would allow him to establish life outside of the United States, where he faces espionage charges after publicly admitting he exposed confidential documents to the media. Snowden's request could take up to 3 months to process. And in New York City, there's an Amber Alert for 7-month-old Mario Danner. The child was last seen with suspect Marina Lopez on July 16th in Manhattan. If you have further information, we encourage you to contact 911 or call 866-NYS-AMBER. Once again, 866-NYS-AMBER. Switching gears, it was all eyes on New York as Major League Baseball's Citi Field was the site of last night's Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Although the game was hosted by the National League hometown New York Mets, the game went to the American League, who won with a shutout win of 3-0. The highlight for the night was New Yorkers, or I should say for New Yorkers, was the tribute to Yankee All-Star closer Mariano Rivera. But for the other players that attended, it was a memorable night and one they won't forget.
Well, it was great to be, one more year. And we feel good today. I don't know what happened. We still on the pitch better than before. But it's happened, we're not going to win every time. So I'm glad, except for the win. It's the first year, an All-Star game, and a home run derby too. So somebody had to win.
It's an honor to be here, and a privilege to be in the same locker room with these guys. And the fact that I've done what I've done so far this season. It's kind of mind-blowing. You know, I think when you get a chance to step back and really look at it, you just appreciate, where you come from and where you are.
I was just trying to have fun out there, and this is an unbelievable experience. Just being able to hang out with some of these guys has been pretty cool, and I got to meet everybody, and maybe tomorrow we can hang out a little bit more and have some fun.
There you saw Jose Alvarez amongst those giving their thoughts about the All-Star Game. Once again, the American League comes away the winners this year 3-0. And those are the headlines, and we have to take a quick break. But when we return, we'll find out about depression and obesity and how the two coincide. But first, the Bronx Times recently celebrated their 4th annual Role Model Honoree, and it's a gala recognizing 25 influential women in the Bronx. BronxNet's Veronica Boapam was there, and she brings us the story.
You may know the Bronx Times reporter for giving us the most up-to-date news happening right here in our community. But today they took a break to honor 25 of the most influential women. It's the 4th annual gala held at the Villa Barone, and the room was filled with women who have made an impact on their community. Publisher Laura Guerriero talks about the inception of the award ceremony.
John and I felt like there was definitely so many women out there that, go beyond their jobs, and we thought that, they improved, the borough of the Bronx so much that they should be honored. And originally John wanted to do 50, and I, broke them down to 25.
An event like this is just spectacular, the turnout. The women that we honor, they're all very excited about being involved in the community and the event and with the Bronx Times. So, again, that's what it's all about.
And indeed, it was finally about honoring the women who never put themselves first. They range from senior vice presidents to nurses, all who were humbled by the award and see service as a privilege.
I have a passion for helping, which is one of the reasons I guess I became a nurse. And I just like to keep doing something. I retired, but not from serving. I just like to serve. And it gives me a real good feeling to do that.
To be with the New York Yankees and to have our home right here in the Bronx is so important to us. I've been with the Yankees since 1985, and early on we had simple programs reaching out to the community. Since the Yankees built our new stadium, established a permanent home in the Bronx yet again to not relocate, our programs to support the community have continued to grow, and it's wonderful to be part of this community.
One of the biggest rewards for me is being able to, as I say, start to see the lights come on in people's eyes when they're inspired by their own creativity and also the creativity of others. It creates a lot of pathways just through every aspect of our lives, and it's a healthy, fun thing to do.
As the night ended, everyone left feeling inspired by all the women who give back and don't mind making a difference in their community. We salute them all. For BronxNet, I'm Veronica Boapam.
And thank you, Veronica. Well, in other news, according to a recent study conducted at the Children's Hospital in Montefiore, mothers experiencing depression often display obesity, promoting practices, and in turn have overweight children. This is a study, and here now to tell us more about the study and the correlation between maternal depression and children's health is Dr. Rachel Gross. She's attending physician at the Children's Hospital at Montefiore, and good to have you, Dr. Gross.
Thank you for having me.
So when we talk about this here, you've made the correlation, and give me a little bit about this study now.
So what we did was we interviewed about 400 mothers with 5-year-old children who received their pediatric care at a clinical site affiliated with Montefiore right here in the Bronx. And we asked them questions about how their child ate, their activity, and we also asked mothers a little bit about themselves, about how they've been feeling, and we asked them about symptoms of depression. We also were able to get their height and weight from a recent well child visit when they're 5 years old. And so really what we were able to find is that mothers who experience moderate or severe levels of depression or feelings of sadness were more likely to have children who were overweight or obese. And we also started to look at the connection between these feelings and some of the feeding practices and activity practices that we know are related to at putting children at risk for becoming overweight.
So how does one translate into the other from the study?
The reason we started looking at this is because feelings of sadness and depression are really common in women. We see these feelings in about 1 in 4 women. And we know that feelings of sadness or depression affect a woman's health, but we also are beginning to know that it affects the health of their family and in particular their children. A lot of the work has shown that these feelings of depression are related to a child's mental health or social development or behavior problems. But the reason we did the study is we're starting to look at how this might also affect the physical health of children, in particular their growth.
When you talk about obesity, obviously it's something that we deal with here in the borough of the Bronx and all across the nation in terms of that. Are there any things that can really help us in this area of bringing about an end to both the depression and the obesity?
Yeah, so one thing that we really try to encourage is families really working together and being able to, provide as much help as we can to families that may be experiencing these challenges. I would encourage mothers that feel these feelings of sadness or depression to talk to their physicians, but also to consider speaking with pediatricians. Many mothers take their children to the doctor very frequently in the first few years of life, much more than they would go to the doctor themselves. And so it's really a wonderful opportunity to share these feelings with pediatricians and to be able to help families as a whole.
I guess when it comes to depression, I've had conversations with other people when talking about depression, and one of the things that we found is that when it comes to depression, sometimes parents don't even know that they're depressed.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's a really good point. And so really within pediatrics, we're starting to really be aware of that and how the health of the whole family is important. And so pediatricians are beginning to ask those very questions of moms right there in the office when they come with children, and to try to tease out mothers that might benefit from extra help with parenting and these feelings that they're experiencing. Where we work at Montefiore, we're beginning to really bring those two things together, where within the pediatric offices, we actually have people who specialize in early child development and social health of young children, as well as help for mothers. And so we're able to do that within a single practice when families go so frequently to the pediatrician.
Are we finding that families are, particularly in the area of children, taking them in for the regular visits? Because, obesity is something that occurs over time. Some people can say, well, you know what, this thing could be countered if we have parents that are really taking their kids in for regular visits.
Yeah, so we do find that parents do go frequently for regular visits, especially in the first few years of life. There's regular immunizations that happen throughout early childhood and things. So parents often, take care of their children and go. The factors that lead to becoming overweight are quite complex, and it's important to really start right from the beginning to work with families as a whole to help them to focus on healthy lifestyles. It's not so much about the weight per se, but really learning how to eat meals together as a family, to model healthy eating for young children, to do those things together as a family.
Some root causes of maternal depression, because it's hard to believe that some people should be happy about the pregnancy and during that time mothers should be, but yet and still we're finding this maternal depression. What are some of the root causes of this maternal depression?
Yeah, so there are a lot of causes of why a woman might become depressed or have depressive symptoms, and some of that could be quite personal. It may be related to experiences they've had in their own life, or stresses that they're encountering. It is a biological illness, and so there are, it's important, especially as these feelings become more severe, to really reach out for help. Some of the questions that we ask to try to see if moms are experiencing depressive symptoms are to ask about, their mood, how are their interests in things, their energy level, ability to concentrate on things. These feelings can influence, the way they eat as well, and ability to sleep. All of those things are important.
Since you've had the results of the study, what has it transcended into for you guys? Have you increased what you're doing? How's it going?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we can learn from this study is that it's really important to not just focus on the individual child, but really to expand that to the whole family and to take a mother's health into consideration as well when we're trying to work with families to improve their child's health. And so, the next steps are really to, begin looking at this from infancy as well to see how this affects the development of growth and healthy practices right from infancy, and also to really help within the pediatric setting to work with families as a whole, both seeing with pediatricians and early child specialists and mental health specialists together.
What were you able to garner as some of the causes for this maternal depression? Because there might be a mother out there that's watching right now, and what are some of the things or some of the watchdog signs that maybe we could watch out for?
Well, this study in particular didn't study the causes of the maternal depression, and so it may be related to experiences that the mother is having herself or stress. But I think I would encourage mothers to reach out for help if they're aware of these feelings, to speak to their own doctors as well as the pediatrician.
How often are we finding maternal depression and childhood obesity in terms of frequency? How often?
Yeah, so we find feelings of depression in about 1 in 4 women, about 25%, and that's similar to what we found in our study. And the rates of children being overweight are quite high as well. In the preschool years, it can go between 30 and 40% of children are found to be overweight or obese.
And where do we go from here?
And so I think where we can go from here is to increase awareness of how important providing services for families is, particularly when it revolves around maternal depression and giving assistance, and encouraging families to be very engaged with their children and helping them develop healthy feeding patterns.
Before I let you go, what kind of resources are available out there in Montefiore?
So Montefiore does have a program called Healthy Steps, which does have pediatricians working side by side with mental health specialists, and we really work with families right from the beginning as part of just general pediatric care.
All right. Well, Dr. Gross, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for the interesting study.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, we got to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to find out about a book that will leave you inspired. Stay with us. We'll come right back right after this.
Low-fat cheese sandwiches on whole wheat bread. Chewy and good for you. Snacks high in calcium help build strong bones, and foods rich in fiber are good for your heart. So you have the power to dominate. Can your food do that? Run, throw, think, eat better. Find out more at smallstep.gov.
This is so cool, Dad. Awesome. This is so cool, Dad.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
Gotta get that. Oh, I must be careful. Well, that's a nice picture. Come on, Anna. Okay.
Foreclosure doesn't affect just you. It affects your whole family, too. If you've fallen behind on your mortgage, we can help. Call 1-888-995-HOPE, because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
Megan, you're a tramp. Ryan Fitch told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. He says you're the most desperate girl he knows, besides your mom. How many boyfriends does she have anyway? Lots? That zit is huge. Zit face. Ugly.
And welcome back to Open. We encourage you to take advantage of our social media sites, getting us on Facebook and Twitter. And there you can share and interact with the show. And of course, if your thing is so special, we can read it right here on the show. So make sure that you tweet us and make sure that you keep us open right there on Facebook. Well, For the Souls of Black Folks explores the impact of black religious culture in shaping the ethical values and the socio-political condition of blacks in the United States. Joining us now to share more about the book is author and director of the Center for Spiritual Light, Reverend Carrie Jackson, and we welcome you now to the show. Good to have you, Reverend
Glad
Jackson.
to be here.
So give us a little bit about this. You got your book here, and it pretty much deals with really how we address things, and I'll let you take it from there.
Well, as someone who is a daughter of historically black churches, I grew up seeing a power dynamic in churches where the minister was at the top of the power pyramid and was the one who determined everything about the condition, the movement, the pace of the church, and it was expected for the congregation to say yes without any real question. And I grew up seeing that time and time again when good thinking people ordinarily would question things, or sometimes they might question it privately but not engage in that with the pastor, because the theology was and the teaching was, in order to be in obedience to God, you must obey the pastor, obey the one who God put charge over you. And so what I argue in the book is that that theology and that kind of teaching in its own way has disempowered black churchgoers, and it shows up when we go out in the broader public sphere.
So elaborate a little bit further.
Well, power dynamics show up in every context. We human beings, power is going to show up, we're going to have power struggles, et cetera, et cetera. But I have seen, as I have been pastor in predominantly white churches, in racially mixed churches, and in predominantly black contexts, there is a very tremendous difference in what those power dynamics look like and those struggles. So as I was saying, black folks in historically black denominations, coming from a history of slavery and how we have been taught to obey those who have rule over you. During slavery, the black preacher with incredible skill and style in elocution was the one who had particular favor and privileges on plantations that the masses didn't have. And so much of that has continued to carry on and be carried out across the centuries. Here in the 21st century, it is still showing up. And there are story after story where the congregation said, whatever you say, pastor, and pastor having control over so many areas of people's lives. And it's not to suggest that that doesn't show up in some other cultural contexts, because it does, but it has a particular spin on it because of the impact of racial oppression.
So how can churches be more powerful, if you will, in this day and age? Because we know that you drive down East Street, and we can go through the borough of the Bronx, you got a whole bunch of churches. How can churches become more powerful in terms of community, in terms of involvement, in terms of, social networking, social involvement?
Well, it really starts with what's going on in the church. If the focus is on, we want to make sure our pastor is promoted high. And for years ago, it used to be that we wanted to make sure if the pastor came to dinner that he or she, years ago, it was only he, would get the best piece of chicken in the house. And then we graduated from that to we want our pastor to have a Cadillac, because then that represents us well as a community. And then we graduated to a Mercedes-Benz, and now in some communities it's we want our pastor to have the Bentley. And if the pastor has the Bentley, then it looks good for us. Well, we've seen this in economic theory as well. Trickle down economics doesn't work, and the trickle down power dynamics don't work either. So within churches, using the pulpit, and I'm a preacher. I said to my congregation years ago, I hope to preach myself out of a job. And what I meant by that, I want to help empower you to use your own innate abilities, talents, your own social agency, your ability to make ethical choices, that I'm not the one to tell you what you ought to be doing, but I'm here to facilitate you having a process where you really engage that for yourself. The more we do that within churches, then instead of having an ambassador pastor, as they were during slavery, instead of just having that tier of ambassadors working within the community, then you have a fully empowered congregation. People see it as their responsibility and as their privilege, their opportunity, using their power, their agency, their authority to go out and do even more amazing things in the community. We've done some tremendous things through churches, but I know there's more that we can do.
When you talk about some of the things that churches do in terms of community impact and having community impact, what are some of the things? Because some people, everybody doesn't go to church. So,
yes.
So the thought that, okay, we think of church as a place that traditionally people just go to and worship, but from your perspective, the churches are more engaged in just the actual worship component. What do they do?
Well, we're in a generation now, this is the first generation among black folks, where we have young people who have not grown up with any religious training or formation at all. This is the first generation. And I believe that much of why that is the case is because of the power dynamics that go on within religious organizations. And people say, look, I'm dealing with that kind of stuff on my job, in my community. I don't come to my place of worship also to have to deal with somebody's ego and power struggles. And so a lot of people have stopped going and now have raised a whole generation of young people who have none of that religious formation as part of their lives. And then they're missing the value there is in being a part of a faith community. And so while my book talks about the underside or the shadow of it, I fully honor the incredible value that there is to being a part of a faith community. And so my hope is, let's be honest. Let's look at the shadow. Let's heal it. Because just as with any diagnostic process, if you have an ache, a pain, you go to the doctor and then you determine where the illness is, the sickness is, and then you work on it. We have not been owning that we have an ache. We haven't been owning that there's something out of whack. And part of why is because most of us have been, who have grown up in historically black churches, that's all we have known. And so we don't know it's out of balance.
So you feel right now, your book helps to bring us back into balance.
That's the whole point of it, is to bring into conversation something that people who don't go to church talk about, because they say, I don't want to go to church because of all of these kinds of dynamics going on. And often there's not truth telling regarding those power dynamics. So many people stay away. Others have been walking with they've been voting by leaving the church, but they don't say, wait a minute, this is not working and we need to change it, because people have not felt empowered to challenge it. Because the context has said, no, you don't get to challenge here. And if we are to address the kinds of issues that we have in our society, you mentioned earlier that Reverend Al Sharpton is going to have these justice conversations in light of the George Zimmerman decision. There are a lot of critical issues that we need to deal with, impacting race in America, impacting economics in America, education, on and on and on. If we are much more conscious within our church communities, empowering those who go, then they can be a much stronger army, more articulate, more clear, not having knee-jerk reactions to things, but really thinking it out. What do we need to do to help transform our society? But we got to start by transforming within the church home.
Let me tell people where they can get the book. Where can I get the book?
For the Souls of Black Folks is on Amazon.com, and go on there, and it's it's a powerful book, and I look a lot at W.E.B. Du Bois, the father of sociology.
Thank you so much, Reverend Carrie Jackson. Thank you for being with us here.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
me.
staying here on Open, and we got to take a quick break. Got to move away from Reverend Jackson, but when we return, we're going to find out about another movement. But this movement is to keep our community healthy. Stay with us. We're coming right back right after this.
I love being in classrooms like this one and learning new things. But I'm a Brooklyn girl, and I know school can be hard. It's demanding, and we kids have many distractions, lots of other things we could be doing. Sometimes even your friends may tell you that school isn't cool, that it isn't the place to be. Don't listen to them. There's nothing more important than education. It's the key to everything else. It helps us understand our world and be better people, better friends, and better citizens. So stay in school, and don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough or smart enough. Be a star, shine brighter than anyone else, and you'll make the grade.
This has been a public service announcement of the Make the Grade Foundation. Go to makethegrade.org to learn more.
Hello, I'm Carla Cadenas, and you can check out Open 2.0 at 4:30 on Fridays, or on the web at www.bronxnet.org.
Hi, this is Jeff Fox from 107.5 WBLS, and when I get off the radio, I check out my man, the Dr. Bob Lee, and Cool Clyde. It's Open on BronxNet. I never miss it.
How you doing? I just want regular, no sugar today.
You got it.
Thanks. Hello.
Hi.
Did you eat that whole thing today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, how you doing?
She's getting big, huh?
Good. Yeah, she is big. Let's, great haircut.
Yeah.
Looks cute. Come on, let's go. Nice to see you. Thanks a lot.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call 1-800-4-A-CHILD. All calls are anonymous and confidential. Trust your instincts.
The Male Awareness Organization is a movement striving to achieve higher levels of health for the men in our community, and that's through education, awareness, and prevention. And on July 19th, they will host Shake Hands for Health, providing information on health, food, and entertainment. Joining me now to share more about the event and the organization is founder and executive director Mickey Benson, and we welcome you now to the show. Good to have you.
I appreciate being here, man. This is a great platform that people can actually get to notice something. When me and Ice-T and Chubb Rock and Dr. Shaka and Greg Maris decided to do male awareness, we said, how many of you know out there right now that are looking and listening, do you know your blood types make a big difference? Are you aware of that? If you're type A, or if you're type B, or if you're type AB, or if you're type O, you should eat totally different than someone of an A and a B. You should exercise different. That helps obesity as well, but it saves your life. Let your cholesterol down, lower your blood pressure. People are not aware of that because we're in a misinformation society, so we come to give you some information, you know? And a lot of brothers are afraid to talk about colon. They scared to get their rectum checked. Don't they know that can save a life? So Ice-T again, me, Ice-T, Chubb Rock, Dr. Shaka, and a few others say, you know what, we want to wake y'all up about that. We think you should now learn. Your prostate is important, your oral. Ooh, do you know how bad it is to have a bad teeth and continue to swallow bacteria? You can catch a stroke. Was you aware of that?
No, I wasn't aware
you
of
can
that.
catch a stroke. So they need to do some annual checkups, bro.
So when you talk about men, we know that men have a proclivity not to really want to go and get checked. What are some of the reasons? Because you're a brother. I mean, just explain. What's the mentality?
It's macho.
Okay.
I feel okay. I don't have to go. I only got a toothache. You know, my teeth will go. It'll go away. You know, it'll be okay. Your wife or your girlfriend really tells you, hey, honey, you need to go check. Your hand been swelling up. See, we too macho to do that, but women will go for their pap smear on a regular basis, brother. Again, we don't even check. Men are not aware that they can get breast cancer, man. And in the shower, they should be doing just like the women, checking their breasts for lumps. You tell a man, this man, get no breast cancer. You kidding me? How could I get breast cancer and I'm a man? You can get breast cancer, man. All men of the world need to wake up. and you physicals can save a life. We care that much to bring it to you. You know what I mean? We got people like Ice-T telling you, hey, wake up, brother. It's time that you go to the doctor.
Right. You talk about the actor Ice-T. For those people that don't know, actor Ice-T, you've seen him on
Law and Order, baby.
on Law and Order all the time. And then you got Chubb Rock, you know, historical rapper. And you got these people who are really coming to the community and saying and really trying to go after men.
Yes.
And so what has been the response when a man talks to a man about health?
I mean, basically, it's good when a man that they understand as, you know, as a macho as he is, they like, wow, if you're telling me about that, I got to go check it. I think I need to check that out. Like I tell people, I said, are you aware about your pancreatic? They're like, what is that? I said, that's a silent disease. It's behind your stomach. So there's no way to find out you got cancer unless you go to the doctor and get a blood test. And sometimes they may have to do even an ultrasound, you know, like they do with the women with the baby. They do that on men too. You guys got to understand, we're asking you to go to the doctor. You got to be around for the second term, you know what I mean? MaleAwarenessFoundation.org is very important, man. We care.
When you talk about that 19th of July, it's going to be a very special day from 3 to 9. Let's walk people through what they can expect on July 19th.
Oh, on July 19th, we will give you some festivities because we understand you like things that are free. So we got free music for you, we got free entertainment, and then we're going to have speakers. We got guest speakers. We're not going to tell you who it is until you get there. And we got some giveaways, and those that can show me, if you went and made a physical exam for after July 19th, I'm going to give them 2 tickets to Stage 48. Stage 48, August 17th, is doing something for Autism Speaks. And we know a lot of kids got autism. So we're going to give you 2 tickets to go there. If you can show me that you really went and set up an appointment to get your physical, it could be for your oral or your whole body, but you got to get a physical. We're trying to save a life here.
And so we know that there'll be plenty of health practitioners out there to get people involved in things of that nature. For you, why is this so important for you, and why has this become so personal for a person like yourself and for the Ice-T's and the Chubb Rocks out there? Why is it so personal?
Because we don't have a lot of time to go to the doctor. So what we decided is MaleAwarenessFoundation.org can do one thing, is get some mobile clinics around, and we give you some free checkups. Maybe you'll take that free checkup, and then once you find out there's something wrong, then you can move on to the major doctor and go into the hospital. But we're losing a lot of our friends. See, hip-hop is 40 years old. So we being from hip-hop, we know that we act like we don't get old, but we're getting older. And if we can tell our younger brothers to start now that you got to go to the doctor, it's really important, you know? It's very important. Blood tests can save a life, man. A lot of my friends have, I mean, look at Heavy D. Great guy, man. Healthy as an ox, just left Law and Order. Passed away. Look at Tony Soprano. He's out there. He's an actor.
James Gandolfini, right?
Diseases have no problem attacking anybody. Diseases attacks us all. Great healthy man. Soprano's doing good, out on a vacation, having a great time. And what happens, bruh? Heart attack. Maybe he didn't go to the doctor. It could have been his cholesterols could have been high. His arteries could have been clogged, but he never knew that because he was having such fun. He's a celebrity, so I feel all right. We got to go to the doctor. It's real important. If we can get some mobile clinics, we can get y'all to come out there and we can get y'all some free screening. We can help y'all out, but y'all got to help us out and help yourself out. Go to the doctor.
Are more people prone, do you find, particularly with men, to take advantage? Because I've seen, we've covered these for years.
Yes.
And we go out and we've seen the mobile clinics. A lot of times we see a lot of women out there, but I would say, and maybe you can answer for me, but a lot more men are now becoming a little bit more proactive in taking advantage of the mobile clinics because it's being bought to them as opposed to them going to a doctor.
Well, in the old days, you got to remember, man, we used to get house calls. I mean, I didn't get one. I'm not that old. But in the old days, if you got sick, your wife would call the doctor and the doctor would come see you. Maybe that can be reevaluated. Let's start doing that again. If people don't want to come, let's send them to them. Let's get the house calls again. This is what Male Awareness is trying to do. And if we can fund it for a few people, we can save some lives. Remember this. Doctor comes to your house, he says, okay, you're good. He tests you, he gives you a needle, he tells you to lay down for 3-4 days, he tells your wife, make sure he stays in bed. If he gets up, please call me. See, those were better days. Today, no one wants to get up out of their house and go to the doctor and wait for 5 hours just to find out I have a cold. But that cold could be pneumonia, so you gotta go.
And we talk about, and another battle is just the health insurance component too, where many people didn't feel comfortable by going to the doctor, particularly men, because they lacked insurance.
Well, again, Male Awareness is trying to help set some of that aside as well. Maybe we can help some of y'all who don't have health insurance to get that, or we can fund it to get that for you, because I think health insurance really should be free. If you're a doctor and I'm dying, why do you tell me I can't be cured because I can't afford it? That's unfair. That's unfair, man. That is truly unfair. There's a lot of people that's are going through dialysis and can't afford it, and they end up passing away because they couldn't afford it. Why we can't help them, or why the doctor can't help them. If we can set up a platform where there'll be a few doctors that's willing to work when they days off to do business with us, that'd be great. Let's get these people a neck and a throat cancer. That's a very simple little test that they do. They grab your head, they move your head, they look at your tongue, they, oh, you're good. You know, those are things that we don't look at. I'm okay, I'm good, man. I'm cool, I'm healthy as an ox, man.
Let me ask the question, July 19th, give people information exactly where do you go and what time to what time?
July 19th, it'll be taking place at 1789 Southern Boulevard in the Bronx, New York, 10460. That's on the corner of 174th Street. I'm going to repeat it because some of y'all don't write fast. So 1789 Southern Boulevard, located at 174th Street and Southern Boulevard. We're going to start from 3 to 9. We expect to see you in the building. You're going to get free. I'm going to say it again, F-R-E-E, free, free, free. Y'all like that free stuff. You're going to get free music by the Grand Wizard Theodore, no other than himself, who created scratching. You're going to get entertainment. You're going to get singing and rapping, but it's going to be clean business. And we got natural foods and nice shakes, and it's called Sankofa Cafe. I mean, ooh, them shakes is, oh my goodness. Make sure you check your blood type, though. You may not be able to drink one.
Well, we want to make sure people get on out there. So, Mickey, thank you so much for coming to share with us. Good to have you. And certainly we're encouraging people to be out here on July 19th.
MaleAwarenessFoundation.org. We come to save a life. We care. Do you?
All right. All righty. Mickey, best stay right here. Don't leave right yet. And you don't leave us either, because we got to take a quick break. But when we return, we're going to find out about a plan that will continue to build the new Bronx. We'll explain right after this.
This is so cool, Dad. This is so cool, Dad.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
Hi, I'm Rena Valentin, your Café con Leche, host of Open. Tune in every Friday at 10 a.m. right here on BronxNet.
Recently, Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. issued a letter calling to bring pro soccer to the Bronx, stating this would bring tremendous economic benefit to our borough. We're pleased to be joined by the borough president now today to find out more about this and all the great things he's doing in our borough. And we welcome you now, Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. Good to have you, Borough President.
How you doing, Darren? It's good to be on via Skype.
Via Skype. You see what social networking can do for us here?
Yeah.
Listen, let me...
I'm sorry I couldn't make it into the studio, but nonetheless, it's always a pleasure to be on your show.
Well,
and first of all, let me start by commending Mickey Benson and all of the pioneers of hip hop for taking this health initiative, particularly with us, those of us who are Black and Latino men. We need to continue to take care of ourselves. There's so many health disparities in that demographics. And a lot of time it's because of, the machismo. Culturally, men don't feel like they need to go and test themselves, go have regular doctor visits. And so for them to put themselves out there and to have this event and to really be on the ground and start this conversation is something that, as the borough president, as a Latino, as a Bronxite, I really just want to tip my hat off and I want to commend them. So congratulations on that.
Definitely coming up there to Southern Boulevard, and so we're looking forward to a great event there. And as we were talking in our intro, we were talking a little bit about pro soccer, and we wanted to see that come to the borough. I know that you've written a letter to the MLS asking that pro soccer come to the borough. Let me ask you why, Borough President.
Well, when you look at the fact that in the Bronx, we've become sort of like a sports themed borough. Obviously, we have the world-renowned Yankees. But if you look at what we did with the agreement on the Kingsbridge Armory, we're going to have the biggest ice sports complex in the country. We're hoping to invite more of our young kids in the Bronx and throughout the city of New York to participate in sports like speed skating, ice hockey, figure skating. Certainly we have golf courses here. There are already 3 public golf courses. Another one is going up at the foot of the Whitestone Bridge, which will be the Donald Trump golf courses. In Crotona Park, we did a public-private partnership, and we have the Cary Leeds Tennis Center. Certainly the New York Junior Tennis League has been making sure that more inner-city kids are participating in tennis. And so when you look at the demographics in our borough and the fact that many of our folks here come from Africa, they come from the South and Central America, why not have a Major League Soccer team here? Look, they're coming to New York City. There's already a professional team here. They tried to have an agreement out in Queens, and it didn't work out. So what I basically said is if it didn't work out in Queens, certainly we would love to see how we can explore perhaps bringing you to the Bronx. It would be great for the people and the fan base that they already have here. It would be great as an economic engine. And certainly, I think, and very importantly, it would be a tremendous boost to the rebranding of our borough, which is something that I certainly want to continue to move forward on.
Do you think that there are some challenges in having a major league, or I should say a major soccer league coming here, a professional soccer team coming here? Would there be any challenges to our borough?
Of course. First of all, we got to find out and discuss, what do they need in terms of acreage. We have to find that property. Certainly, what you look at what happened in Queens, you would see that it would be very difficult to put something like this in public parkland. Traffic, and how would you cope with the traffic that we already have? So all of these things are concerns. All of these things are things that you have to hash out. But what I did is just said, you know what? At least, I wanted to let Major League Soccer and the team, which is, by the way, partially owned by the Yankees. The Yankees have a 20% ownership of the soccer team. So what I'm saying is, let's have this conversation. Let's see where we can go with this.
And so far, have you heard anything, or what's been any feedback about this?
Yeah, there's certainly a level of interest. In fact, the other day in the Daily News, the mayor was quoted on his radio show of saying that there's this large interest in looking at the Bronx. We have had sidebar conversations with, some of the stakeholders, with folks in Major League Soccer. And in the next week or two, there will be the first of what I think would be many meetings.
Give me a little bit about not Fresh. I want to talk about Fresh Direct in a second, but I do want to also bring about the conversation about the Kingsbridge Armory that you brought up. I want to talk about that for a second, because when you look at the Kingsbridge Armory, many people are looking at that as an economic engine as well as the ability to draw more athletes to the area. What are your thoughts with the agreement and the benefits agreement between the Kingsbridge Armory and the community?
It's an amazing CBA. I didn't have anything to do with the CBA. That was hashed out by the local leadership in the area, which is the way it should be. But it's probably going to be the paradigm. It's going to be the model of community benefits agreement, not just in New York City, but I dare say in the state of New York and the United States. But, when you look at what we're getting 9 ice skating rinks, The one in the middle is going to have a 5,000 seat arena, which you can cover, by the way, so that you can have other venues there. You're getting 50,000 square feet of what we call white and open space that the community is going to be able to decide what non-ice things are needed in the community that would go into the Kingsbridge Armory. You have a component there, an academic component, like the one that you see in Philly, where our kids will be mentored and tutored, where they will be taught how to ice skate, they will be taught how to play ice hockey, they will be given free equipment. And if you look at the numbers in Philadelphia, the way that this is happening over there, you see that education scores, the academic scores have gone up, and bad behavior has gone down, as well as attendance has gone up. So this is something that we want to see in our area. A lot of folks say, well, you know what, Ruben, we're for the most part Black and Latinos here in the Bronx. We don't need hockey, and we don't play hockey. That's just because our kids have never been exposed to it. And so I'm one to say that we already have basketball, we have baseball, we have football. Our kids should be playing golf. Our kids should be playing tennis. They should be engaged in ice sports. They should be engaged in Summer Olympic sports, like John Orozco, who just represented the United States in the men gymnastics team over the summer, and he comes from the SAMU section of the Bronx. So I think I'm one to say that you need to create more opportunities for our kids. And when you could do this by creating jobs and living wage jobs, I think it's a good thing for the borough and the city of New York.
Are you pleased with the economic development that's going on here in the borough? Because for a long time, we know that we've been challenged with the area of economic development, bringing finances and bringing businesses into the borough of the Bronx. But we've seen the emergence of certain things in the Hutch Metro Center and some other businesses that have come our way. Are you pleased with the economic impact that's being occurring right now?
I'm pleased in the direction that we're going, Darren. I think that we can do more, obviously, and we feel comfortable that the ship is headed in the right direction. When you look at the fact that the first Marriott 125-bed Residence Inn is going into the Hutch Metro Center. You have the new Montefiore Tower there. You have the Call Center. You have a new Bronx Psychiatric Center. You have the biggest mall being built in Bay Plaza. In aggregate, it'll be 1.2 million square feet. You have an outlet coming where the Whitestone movie theater used to be. You have, we're working on the 4 Metro North stations. You have the new BJ's Mall in the northern West Bronx. I mean, the list goes on, and our Fresh Direct, which is coming here. We need to create jobs. When I go around and over the last 4 years, Bronxites are worried about economic development. They're worried about job creation, but not just job creation, Darren. Job creation with good wages and job creations for people who live here. And so that's what we're doing. And the fact that when you look at our crime reduction rates have been amazing. We've had the largest crime reduction since 1963. That also becomes more and more inviting for corporate America to say, you know what, let's take another look at the borough. Let's do business with the borough. And I'm totally confident that in the next couple of years, we're going to continue to chip away at that unemployment rate to ensure that we are no longer number one in unemployment. At the same time, we're also doing we've done like about $700 million worth of housing over the last 4 years. So that's important because it's all been built green, and we've done all kind of housing for veterans, housing for seniors, low income housing, mixed income housing, condos, home ownership, co-ops. So there's a lot going on here. I think that, the Bronx is really the place to be, and corporate America is starting to look at us in a different light. And certainly more and more Bronxites are benefiting. I'm not going to say that it's not. I'm not saying that it's easy. And you always get your naysayers out there. Obviously you still have people who are not confident. Some of them, their spirits have been shaken so bad over the last 2.5 decades. Other people just don't like to see change. But change is coming, change is good, and as long as Bronxites benefit, I think that it's going to be a great thing for our borough as we move forward.
We talked about Fresh Direct. We talked about it for a few seconds. That it was somewhat controversial, but you think there are some benefits to actually bringing Fresh Direct coming to the borough of the Bronx. I want to get an opportunity to let you speak to that and say what are the benefits for those people who may be naysayers and for those people who may not be as informed as people want to be. What would you say are the benefits of having Fresh Direct right here in our borough?
Well, job creations, and service to people who perhaps live in food deserts. So what do I mean by that? There were so many different concerns, a lot of them legitimate, on bringing Fresh Direct here. The fact of the matter is that the property that is going on, some people want to see it converted into a parkland, and it's just an industrial area that is too expensive to clean up. It's just never going to be parks. We've done about $300 million worth of park restorations to our public parks over the last 5 or 6 years. But we also need job creation. And these are tough decisions that we have to make. So when Fresh Direct outgrew their facilities in Long Island City, they're currently employed 2,200 people, Darren. They were going to go out to New Jersey. And so what we did is said, instead of leaving all, these New Yorkers without jobs, by the way, 600 plus of those individuals who currently work in Long Island City are Bronxites. So those people who are naysayers, what are they going to tell those 600 plus Bronxites when they no longer have a job? Are they going to find them a job? I think not. When you look at the fact that Fresh Direct used to only deliver to Riverdale, now they deliver in every corner. Everybody in the Bronx can go online and order Fresh Direct. The fact that they've already started converting their fleet to all-electric vehicles and trucks that are being manufactured where else? Right here in the Bronx in Smith Electric. And over the next couple of years, they want to convert the entire fleet into either natural gas or electric vehicles. The fact that you have people who are on public assistance, the EBT card holders. We've done the first of its kind in the United States where EBT card holders can now order online. We have 3 zip codes with a pilot program. That would have never happened. And by the way, Fresh Direct has done all of this. They're going to continue to grow, and over the next 3 to 5 years, they'll increase by an additional 1,000 jobs, where we believe more than half of those will go to Bronxites as well. And they haven't put one shovel into the Bronx thus far. And so, I'm here to create jobs. I know that you've had all of these, the circus-like atmosphere with a handful of individuals. Some of them don't, a lot of them don't even live in the borough. And yet, when you look at Bronxites, people want access to fresh foods. The EBT card holders won't have to pay a delivery fee. Many of them don't have supermarkets in their neighborhoods. People want jobs, and we have to retain and save those jobs that Fresh Direct have already given to Bronxites. So I think that this is, part of the overall plan to keep us moving forward, to create jobs, and to make sure that the Bronx is on the map when it comes to economic development.
Well, thank you, Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. And I need you to do me a favor. You have to help to clear up the controversy, because there's a controversy that's going around the borough that you do not want to sit on the same set with me, right across from me, and have an interview. So I need you to clear that up and let people know that you're going to show up.
I will show up. For those who are spreading those falsehoods, the whole world should know that I absolutely have admiration for Darren, except when we're on the basketball court and playing against each other.
That's right. Thank you very much, Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. Good to have you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right now. Well, that about wraps it up for this edition of Open. And definitely it's been a pleasure coming to your homes. Of course, we want to thank our guests for joining us. And of course, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, guess what? Catch the Recablecast tonight, 10 p.m., Cablevision Channel 67. Oh, I don't have Cablevision. Well, you have Verizon Fios. You can get us on Channel 33, or you can watch us anytime on the web. So we encourage you. Have a great week. Don't forget to keep your heart, your mind, and most of all, this channel wide open. Take care.